Okay, so let's try to do this. It's Friday, so let's try.
It hasn't taken me a decade to figure out how much my nerves were gonna get shot. Right? It hasn't. It's taken me almost about 2 years. 2 years to figure that out. Simply because I've had a numerous amount of unpleasant experiences having to work in Montreal. But that's not really the point of the fucking video. The point that I want to say is I'm seeing a lot of issues that are happening that you see out in Tirana, that you see out in Vancouver, that we're seeing here too. The thing is, it's not getting talked about at the same frequency as the other two lame-ass fucking cities that are, the happenings of those two fucking cities, basically.
Okay, so I'll say this. Being from where I am, um, born in LA, been running from the goddamn rat race my entire life. Finally kind of did it. Finally kind of beat it. Like my stepdad, he visited me and he said, "My God, you did it! You beat the rat race." It's like, yeah and no, but the rat race sucks, and I think that's what's happening to a lot of Canadians and all these. Because if you look at a map of Canada, most people live on like the southern edge of the border in these very dense cities, and it's very expensive, you know. And if you want to live somewhere cheap, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it? You know. And somehow I beat that. Um, and yeah, my like I said, I was congratulated on doing it. He's like, "How did you do this?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I just did. All right. I insisted on it. Sometimes you do, but I really believe most Canadians because I know a lot of them, and they're like in a lot of shitty situations, and they're trying so hard. Like I have a friend who just finally bought a house. I mean, my God, at our age, I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Like it just drove me nuts, and so when I see a person like this, I really like her. She's awesome. It's just, what can I do? You know, and it's not like it's that great here in America either. Like I've been running from this goddamn rat race. The whole West Coast was just expensive, 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 expensive. Move, move, move. And then this is why I'm like I have fatigue. That's like the name of my video. She has Canada fatigue. I have like fatigue. Cause like I moved all the way to Colorado and tried to make shit work. I tried and it didn't, and it backfired hard. And I knew that's one good thing. That's a good trait that some people have that this guy talking has. I knew this was a bad decision and I needed to go back home. And so I called the apartment complex that I lived in and I said, "Do you have anything?" And he said, "Yeah. In fact, your apartment has been remodeled and it's only $100 more a month." And I'm like, "Done. We're doing it." That was it. You know, and I moved right back and got it done. And but I was just trying to move somewhere where things weren't so difficult, you know. And I believe that's what a lot of the things that like she's complaining about, and a lot of my other friends that are Canadian complain about are just basically economic. It's like they work hard, they do a good job, they they're ethical, they do good things, but my God, what, like, where's the opportunity to just have a house, do things, have a decent vacation, have this, have that? I mean, we're not asking for a lot, you know. And yeah, so my Canadian homies, I feel ya. It really bugs me because it happens to me too. I kind of escaped it, but I have to play all these little sneaky games to basically not work very hard, and it's not easy. And and I think a lot of people work, like a lot of my friends in Canada kind of like work hard, play hard. They work very like long hours and do a lot of things, and then they end up going to like these cool vacations and stuff like that. I don't do the vacation part. It's hard for me to fly, but I understand, and I think it's cool they do. And you know, but it's not easy. It's just it's not easy for any of us. And yeah, Canada is probably worse than the U.S. I would agree. If I had to, because like I know enough Canadians, like I have several Canadian friends. Okay, so let's just watch more.
And I just want to say that I'm kind of getting a little bit fed up with the lack of coverage that we're getting. The silver lining for me is, well, we got Rebel Media, despite the fact that they are fucking grifters. We have Alexa Lavoie, who does report here in MTL, but in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to the market, a lot of people who don't speak French are not going to tune in and watch French content unless they actually are fluent enough to understand English and French.
So yeah, this is where like it's different for me because like where I live, it's pretty much English, but there are some people that speak Spanish, right? Like just like my neighbors don't really speak English. I can kind of. The funniest time was like when the power went out and I was here by myself, and I walked outside, and my neighbor, she went outside, and we tried to talk to each other, and we just couldn't. There was no like language tension. We just couldn't. You know, like saying one word that in Spanish that I know, and she's saying like one word in English she knew, and I'm just like, power on soon. Don't worry. I was trying to reassure her, but yeah, we don't have that on the West Coast, but it is, at least out here where I live, it's just there's no people speak Spanish, people speak English. Nobody cares. But yeah, anyway.
Or just French in general. But it is good that they are bilingual. The thing is, Montreal cannot be kept out, and it is overshadowed by the other two lame-ass fucking cities with what's going on with the housing crisis, with mass migration, with a slew of things that is happening. Now, it's not that it might be a tad bit better depending on your situation, but there's always extra and other problems that might be a little bit downgraded compared to where you were before. I'm just being general as I speak. But at the same time, let's not forget that Montreal is a corrupt fucking city. Generally speaking, it just cannot figure out how to do shit. It really can't. When it comes to the roads, when it comes to the construction, when it comes to the fucking delays, whenever there's road closures, the parking, they're not car friendly or parking friendly. Hey, I think I had like, within the past two years, I must have gotten like 4 or 5 parking infractions. That's how much I can't fucking stand, like, bruv, I need.
So this is interesting because, yeah, like the only time I got one of those was in Los Angeles. It was like I had to park a car somewhere and I got in trouble. But to add to this, I had this friend who, I still have him. He was like a Francophile. Like he wanted to live in French Canada so bad. And he went there, pretty much illegally, as you'd call it, even though he's from Oregon. And he was a trained chef, and he just wanted to go there and be a chef. And it worked for like a year, and then they figured it out, and they kicked him out. And he's not allowed back. And it worked out for the best because he ended up meeting a really wonderful woman here in the States. So I'm actually happy it happened. But he's a very nice guy, and he really wanted to live in Montreal. And he was in love with Montreal, like the city itself. I didn't know. I've never been there. But he was just telling me how awesome it was and all this stuff. And what's funny is, after listening to your channel, I I don't think I want to even go there. I mean, maybe, but it's just like, ugh, gross. It's like you've ruined it for me, But it's pretty funny. But yeah, I did have a friend who really, really loved the French and the French Canadians and wanted to be part of that. Everything you don't like, he wanted to be part of, even though I don't know how much French he knew, but I'm sure he learned a little. But yeah, he just, he put everything into it, and they kicked him out. So shows you how good they are, right? So yeah.
I need a park. I have a right to park. I'm only waking up like an hour before I fucking leave, and I have to leave like extra because of the parking, because of the traffic, and thank God it's not winter just yet, because that also adds extra amount of time. So all of these things, when you start to see a lot of bullshit, even the homelessness too.
That's okay. The homelessness thing, I'm not even gonna get to yet, but like winter, yeah, like I love Canadians, but I could not I can't conceive of living in Canada, because of all that snow and that ice and that cold. But that's just, me being West Coast, so whatever.
My sister was looking for a fucking apartment, and she went down to Chinatown. And she even said to the girl that was showing her the fucking place, listen, safety is a concern. I don't really feel safe because of the homeless outside. And she says, well, look, if that is the case, that's your right. It is your safety. Just don't come here. But my thing is, with all of this shit that's going on, why is it being tolerated? Why should we be accepting this shit? The same thing going on with a lot of these protests that I see with Israel v. Palestine. Why should we tolerate that shit? I don't understand why there's no outrage. Like, I don't get it. Like, to be quite honest, I have Montreal and Quebec fatigue. Oh, my colleague is right there. I have just generalized fatigue when it comes to this fucking city, when it comes to Quebec, when it comes to Canada. I am so fucking tired of it. I am so fucking tired of the old ways still just lurking behind those freaking shadows. It's like I don't know how much more people could put up with it, because I know for me it's not, I'm not budging. There's a lot of things that I refuse to budge on. I've gotten a little bit more guarded, a little bit more, I guess you could say, aggressive, a little bit more confrontational, because now my tolerance for stupidity has severely fucking lowered. And
homie, don't worry about that. You have it under control. You're doing it right. There's a lot I know about these kinds of subjects. You have good boundaries. You are a smart person, and it's not an easy world, but there's nothing to complain about you. So just, deal with the stuff you have to deal with. It's not fun, but I'm telling you, as someone who's been there and done that, you're not doing anything wrong.
And, even just drivers, cyclists. I don't want this to fucking happen, but I feel like it should happen. Maybe there is some justification in having to see the collapse of Canada. And from that, it's going to have like a trickle effect down to the common denominator, which is all of us. Because I don't know how else change is going to occur, properly anyways, for shit to really hit the fucking fan and people to say, yeah, we changed our minds. We're not going back to the old ways because it's not benefiting us. Like, how much sacrifice are people willing to fucking put up with? Because with all of these things that are coming at you left, right, and fucking center, personally, I don't have tolerance for it anymore.
See, here's the problem. As much as I agree with you, here's the problem. Like, the way that stuff happens is like a slow thing. And so it's just like misery. It doesn't, happen all at once. Because I had this concept, I don't know, when I was probably your age, that it would, even a little older, that there would just be like this collapse, and everything would just fall apart. And what I'm seeing is it's not happening that way. It's happening slowly, and it's really miserable. And it's happening here, and it's happening there. It's happening a little faster there where you live, in my opinion. But I wouldn't, like, put any bets or anticipations on that. Because, what are you going to do, right? Anyway.
I know who my enemies are. I know who I perceive as my enemy. There's a lot of fucking people. There's a lot of individuals, groups of people that I try to stay away from as humanly possible. My values are not aligning with Quebec. They haven't in a very long time. I don't think they ever will. I just refuse to assimilate and integrate into a fucking society that is this fucking stupid. I cannot do it. I can't do it. The more and more time goes on and we go into what I would say is the awkward phase of the Kali Yuga, at least for me, because there's a lot of unknowns right now. The problem is you can kind of see a little bit of the strings attached. And me, I'm like, no, you guys could go do that. I don't believe in the whole, when Comrade Carney says, freedom is something that you earn, that you have to earn every day, or whatever the fuck it is that he said a few months ago. I don't know what this guy's talking about. That may apply to the NPCs that probably unconsciously have decided to be slaves. But those of us that are not slaves, we see it as an opportunity to realize, well, listen, my freedom and that power and my free will and my will to power is not within the hands of globalists and tyrants. I don't know who you're talking about when you say that.
See, this is very interesting because people see this as like left-wingers or like the slaves or just whatever, and right-wingers or like the smart people, or some people say that anyway, like on the internet and Rumble and all this stuff. And your typical YouTubers, and it's not true. Believe it or not, they're on both sides, and there's good and bad on both sides, and there's good and bad on, like, in terms of the slavery part. People who just are willing to just be slaves, and not assert some will. I even had a discussion with somebody today. Somebody I talked to a lot, and she was like, we were talking about left hand, right hand, and all that, and she's very Christian, so but anyway, nice person. But yes, it's true. Like, and what I noticed is when the Rona stuff happened, a lot of people that I thought, Like, I really thought that, like, the people that were around me were gonna be like, if stuff went down like that, they'd be like, you know, no, we're not doing that. And literally, I had like 1 or 2 out of 20. It was horrible. So, yeah, the NPC thing, I don't know what to say about that, but it was difficult. So, yeah.
So I apply that in every aspect of my life, and I just like, no, I'm not doing that. And it makes me fucking laugh whenever I hear some maybe civ nasts, ethno nationalists that turn around and say that people who want to come here have to assimilate and they have to integrate in the culture and the place that they're at. But my question to you is, yeah, I don't disagree, but the current environment that the natives are in, how do you expect them to assimilate and integrate into a system that is against them? Like, I'm just pointing it out there. I'm just pointing it out because, yeah, I do realize and worry about the situation concerning more people coming in because it does personally affect me. It does. Wages are going down. People are not getting hired due to really stupid reasons. You know, DEI programs. While that has disappeared within the United States, it's still pretty much holding a firm, creepy grasp here in Quebec.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. In the United States, um, that's kind of pretty much gone. But everybody's allowed here, and yeah, we don't really have this like thing where like people that come here have to become us. You know, that's one thing about the United States. You can come here and just be a Hispanic person, and or whatever, you know, religion or like we'll accept pretty much anybody, to a point. But yeah, it's usually not a problem. So there's not really much tension when it comes to that. So yeah.
Despite it being very French. Doesn't fucking matter. French is nothing but a fucking excuse just to lure people in from other predominantly French-speaking countries. What about the values? You guys keep saying about values, values, values. Ah, well, if we don't have the same values, I don't know what we're doing here. I really don't. Quebec cannot figure it out. You guys just can't figure it out. Screw-ups continuously screwing up, a screw up because they're that screwed up. What a shock. So yeah, I don't know how many fucking cars are parked behind me and they had to like just go in front. You see that my emergency lights are on. You see that, so. See, I do not trust people, even this guy backing up right now, because people are careless. They don't give a fuck about your private property or your car. Anyways, I just have fatigue. That's all I want to say. I'm tired of this fucking place. I don't know how much sooner my nerves are gonna get shot until I really fucking say, okay, I'm done. We're out.
All right. I'll just say this. I don't know what it's like there. I couldn't deal with the snow, all that, but it ain't as good as you think in other places, but I don't know. You make your own decisions. Everybody does. So it was nice to hear that video. It was interesting. And yeah, I've been running from that rat race since day like 1 of my adulthood. Even like when I was a kid, like just my dad had to move us out to the desert and just all this stuff, and then I ended up living with my grandma and then living with her grandma again, and all this stuff. It was just a big mess. And when I finally met, the GF, we said we're heading north. We're gonna go up north, and we did, and we did it. And so I'm happy we did. It's nice up here, and but still, that rat race is catching up with us. The traffic's increasing. The rents are, the prices. It's nice to own a house, but what if we had the rent? it's increasing. So I don't know. I don't have the answers, but you're not doing as bad as you think. You're doing pretty good, and your fatigue is just, in my opinion, a natural reaction to what you're experiencing, and it's nice that you get to say this and you do it. So that's why I made this video. Take care. You're dope. All right.